Hey, so here's a quick video about my illustration work. So this is kind of fun. Dug up from my archives, also known as my storage unit. So this is the cover to an album from 1978 by Jeff Wayne. It's called the Jeff Wayne's musical version of the War of the Worlds. And so I didn't do this illustration. Apparently this is by someone called Mike Trim, which I wasn't aware of until I just stumbled across a YouTube video about all this. But anyway, my part in it was that I did an illustration for the Canadian release of a single, which I'll show you in a second. But this is a very cool version of the tripods from the H.G. Wells book, classic novel, War of the Worlds. So they released an album done by Jeff Wayne, and I thought I'd make a quick video showing this stuff. So this is the Wikipedia entry. You can go look it up, and it has more details. And yeah, this is a very nice illustration, color illustration. So what happened was I got commissioned by the art director of CBS Records in probably 1978, I didn't write it down, to do the cover illustration, which I'll a bit wobbly here because I'm trying to do this all without cuts. So let me get my uncooperative mouse here to switch over to my other screen. One sec. And so this is the illustration I did in its final form printed. This is all I could find on the internet. It's very low res. So it's a little bit not that great, but I'll show you the original. But this is how it looked printed as a release. Of course, back in the days when they had actual vinyl releases, you know. So this is the album cover. And somebody took a photo, and I found this on the internet. I don't have a copy of it anymore, but this is with the type and design. And what happened was I was just a student. I was at the University of Toronto in my dorm room. I had my airbrush. I was an aspiring commercial artist. I guess I was about 19. And the art director commissioned me to do the illustration for this because they were doing a Canadian release and they wanted something based on that other image I just showed you. And I think all I had was the actual album cover to go by. So I did my best to replicate that tripod design and add like what looked to me like a Victorian factory. Kind of just making it up on the fly. So yeah, I got this giant sheet of illustration board. I'll switch over and show you that and tell you the rest of the story. But here, let's go over here to my somewhat messy living room. But this is like a 24-36 sheet of illustration board, now yellowing. And I got this giant piece of board and I propped it up against my desk in the dorm room. I had my airbrush going, skittering around the floor, making loud noises. I used acrylic paint. Let's zoom in a bit. It's kind of yellowed, but let's do a pan. So I painted it in acrylic paint, mixing black and white, which gives you the kind of bluish tones. And airbrush, it's a bit battered up now, this poor original, but it's been in storage for a long time. And again, I had a very limited brief to go on, is what I'd say. Is just like make something cool and make something we can use as an album cover. So of course, what's cooler than War of the Worlds, the tripods firing their beam. And I did a straight on angle. And actually now that I'm talking about it, I'm suddenly remembering, I don't have an example of it to show, but they made a giant stand-up cutout. I think it's called a standee. I think that was put in the record stores, and then they had an orange tint. I used to have a copy of it, an orange tint printed over it. And it was like printed onto foam core board. And they had it standing there near the display. And it was quite big, at least as big as this original. But I used to have one, but it got thrown out in a move, unfortunately. So I can't show that, but it was very cool too. So this was used on that cover, and as I said, as a standee. This is just me back then with no reference, trying to imagine what the rooftop of a Victorian factory would have looked like, which may or may not be accurate at all. But I guess I got it close enough to give you the visual impression, which was fun. And for me, it was the beginning of my almost 50-year now commercial art career as a freelance artist, doing all kinds of work in comics and animation. This is a big encouragement because at that point, as I said, I was in university, dorm room at University of Toronto, and had aspirations to be an artist, a working artist. So this was a good bump down that pathway, being commissioned to do this. So I just kind of had at it, got this big piece of board and fired away. It was great fun, good memory. And because the internet needs cats, here's Winston sleeping. Yeah, no, you don't have to be part of the video. You just have a good nap. It's Saturday afternoon. Anyway, I hope the World's fans out there and the Jeff Wayne fans enjoyed that. So, happy Martians and see you next time.